Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm Zede Donahue.
And today we're talking love-hate
Yes.
in our sewing world,
Yes.
right?
There's a fine line.
There you go. If anybody knows what musical that's from, they can tell us and they'll get bonus points, okay? So we're going to alternate here. This is like we have a little bit of a structure for this podcast.
Yeah.
That's kind of a crazy thing.
Yes.
So let's get the bad news out of the way first, okay?
Oh, talk about our hate one?
Talk about our hated. Hate's kind of a strong word. Something we really didn't like doing.
I don't know. I mean, hate. I don't know if I've ever really hated anything in my life. Like,
sure.
We weren't allowed to use that word when you were growing up. I said, you tell me why you don't like it or something like that, because I thought hate is so ugly of a word,
It's pretty, yeah.
And it's usually like an emotional thing, and it doesn't always make sense and things like that. But anyway,
it's not a nice thing.
How
either.
about the project that just made you so miserable, like you were sleepless and you questioned yourself and you wondered why you did it and just
yes.
Does that equal hate?
So
yeah.
mom was having trouble. In fact, she suggested something. She was like, "Yeah, can I talk about this?" I was like, "Yeah, but you made that and it was wonderful and everyone enjoyed it." She's like, "Yeah, but I was afraid at the beginning." And so she was having trouble coming up with
We could talk about projects. That's a good
Yeah,
podcast.
that's a good one,
project
too.
you were afraid of. Yes.
Sure, but that was a good. But you said, "I don't know if I can come up with anything I've hated," and I feel like you have accumulated the skills over the years to kind of like rescue anything.
Well, I think there's such an enjoyment in rescuing.
Yeah.
And I've done some rescuing,
Satisfying.
like even of other people's debacles. Do you know what I mean? People have brought to me.
Well,
when people were very upset, and I rescued them.
And so I think that the projects we're talking about, though, they're not failures. Like mine, the two that came to my mind aren't failures. I did kind of hate doing them.
Yeah.
They were just so annoying.
The process.
The process.
The process was something you dreaded. So, of course, it seems like it takes longer. And then if you do sew a wrong seam that you have to take out or run out of bobbin thread, all of that seems to add to it. It's like when you leave late for an appointment. Why is the traffic worse? It's not.
Right. You're just in a hurry.
Right.
So I think that's kind of interesting, though, and that I don't think you just have that skill set. But we have been doing some sewing for other people lately that's been getting in the way of, like, our life.
It just gets in the way of my life now. Yeah,
It's something, like, we don't really enjoy doing a lot, and I've been really overwhelmed and busy lately, and, like, sewing
like
something.
the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Sewing something for someone else. Something for someone else is really like low on my list of priorities.
Well, the other thing about sewing for someone else is you've made this commitment that you can't back out of.
That's right.
If you're sewing something for yourself, like you're going to this wedding and you said, I want to make the purple dress, but I'm happy with the flowered dress if that's what I have to wear.
Yeah.
So, you can compensate for not being able to, where it was something else that you promised someone, you're letting them down and you're also ruining your reputation.
That's right.
All that.
So you start off with your hate, okay?
Okay. It was the last set of drapes I made.
So, Mom, you're talking about drapes. Are these just like for like one little window in a bedroom?
No.
Oh.
This was for one of our mansions here in town.
Yes.
This is actually a...
Well, let's not say their name. It's
I know. What should I say?
Okay, they're just one of the wealthiest families in America.
Yes.
And they have many residences.
Yes.
But
I worked with the decorator.
Yes.
Who... worked with them on a continual basis. I think it was always,
Yeah.
And this was the mother-in-law's bedroom.
Oh, okay.
That needed drapery.
Okay.
Now, we're not talking 8-foot ceilings, guys. We're talking like 14-foot ceilings.
Right.
And we're talking about windows that go from the ceiling to within like a foot of the floor. Okay. So it's a lot of fabric.
Right.
And this family, this person that we were working for had no problem with always wanting the best.
Right.
So the fabric was always very, very expensive.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was nothing to have fabric that was $100 a yard for a set of drapes,
Right.
Which meant you could be working with like tens of thousands of dollars worth of fabric. And that one didn't include the lining.
Well, and of course, drapes are already, quote, a lot of fabric.
Yes.
Right?
You have
it's
to
just a ton of
heft
fabric.
them and move them.
Yes.
And yes. And your studio needs to be pretty much, pristinely clean because you don't want to be sweeping up crap in, all this fabric or whatever. So, and, a lot of people don't even have the space to make a drape.
Sure. Not a drape of this size.
Well, and this size
Yeah.
was really ridiculous, right? So, and this wasn't the first set I made, but it also happened to be a rush job.
Uh-huh.
And I consider it a rush job because it was like Friday to Friday. You need to make these 5,000 yards full of, it was only 2 windows.
Sure.
Okay. But the other thing is the designer wasn't sure what he wanted. Then we had to wait for the fabric, so no, I don't have a week. No, I have like 3 days. And guess what else? I get to hang them. So I have to make sure I have a 12-foot ladder and someone to help me to get them over there and hang them because the decorator can't help me because he's working downstairs.
Yeah.
And it was an event in their home.
Right.
And the mother, the mother was coming to stay,
Yes.
so to speak. So I made them. And it was just so frickin' tedious and exhausting and time consuming. And, are they going to be wrinkled after then to get them there? I've got an SUV, but I'm still like folding them on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I like accordion folded them on each other and but they're so heavy. Are they going to wrinkle? And what are they going to look like when I get there? And I'm going to have to steam these suckers after I get them up. So my steamer doesn't reach 12 feet in the air, So there were all these issues and the frickin' timeline and the expensive material that I better not screw up.
Made you nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't think I was going to be able to piece fabric if I screwed up, right? And then, the designer also says, I want something special at the top. Yeah, like a special effect, and I'm like, I would think, the
12-foot ceiling or the 14-foot ceiling for the special effect.
And these pleats, that I have to put in and all of this, that's special enough, isn't it? And this expensive fabric, it was just glorious. But I think we were going with silk and we wound up with like a poly that looked sort of like a dupioni.
Yeah.
But, I hated the whole thing. And I got them up and they did look wrinkled, not bad. And I thought, I'm going to... Oh, and not only that, but they had to be puddled. So however high they were, they were puddling on the floor, too.
Right.
And I always find that... I'm just not a draper. I always find that a little bit of a challenge because sometimes I don't think they look right.
Yeah, except maybe puddling is better than having to get them perfectly
The perfect
even.
length. No, I thought the same thing. I thought, I lucked out on the puddling thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
I hope this fabric puddles well.
Sure.
Well, and that would have been the other thing is if they didn't like them, I already thought that through. I thought, if they don't like the puddling, I am not unhanging these. I am taking the sewing machine
yeah.
in and just sewing them while they're on the window. That would have, I'd already thought about that. In fact, I packed the sewing machine.
Right.
I packed an iron. I packed a steamer. I can't even remember. I remember I just kept packing all this stuff because, and I had dreamt about these every night since I had to do them. So anyway, I did finish, and I finished before the mother-in-law got there, and the homeowner did come see them and like them, and in fact, she asked me to stay to the event and drink champagne with her because she was so happy with me. I have to tell you, I didn't. I was so exhausted.
No
said,
thanks.
How about, next week? I'll be back for this. I was depleted.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was the thing that bothered me the most is I was depleted and I really almost couldn't do anything else for like 4 days.
Right.
I could just, I barely ate, or I ate poorly. I was like living on Coca-Cola. Not
Sure.
Coke would have helped. I imagine. That's what I hear. But anyway, it was my last set of drapes. I took an oath.
Yeah.
Sure, or a vow, or whatever you want to call that, shortly after that I would never do this to myself again. And I did. I sought out another person that would make drapes.
Yes.
And she came in as the drapery person, in this team, which, whew, thank goodness. I mean, I just, don't do what you don't like.
Yeah, well, or that you really, really, really dislike.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and, unfortunately, I was sort of like under contract.
Yeah,
I
mean,
I had made a commitment. Yes, I'll do all these things because I was doing all these things in this house, and this house is freaking, what was it, rambling mansion.
They should have had their own drapery workshop just installed.
Okay,
because they changed things so often.
And here's another thing that was bad about this: if you forgot something, you had to walk like 4 or 5 blocks through the house to get to your car. It wasn't like, I'll run out the front door.
No, you needed a shopping cart.
Let me go down the beautiful winding staircase that's, 40 feet in the air and twist around and, find my car.
Being wealthy just sounds so exhausting.
It just sucks. It just sucks. So, but no, it was really weird. Like, I remember forgetting my sunglasses in their bedroom one time, and I hadn't even done any work. We were just like walking through something, and I was like, I got to the car and I was like, how important are they? I'm going to have to go over there and then back through and down the hall. And, I hope the maid's still there so I can get in. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't do drapes. Just so everybody knows, I will do a simple curtain maybe, but I do not do drapes.
Not drapes on 14-foot ceilings.
Nope.
Okay, so I have two hates.
2?
Okay. I know, I get to do 2. So, and one, I think this is a funny juxtaposition. Okay, so there was this guy who came into the shop when I used to take.
Oh my gosh, I know this. Okay.
No, you might not.
Oh, I think
I know what you're talking about. And
another one.
I've really been inspired throughout your speaking. I've come up with 50 things. Okay, now, at first I was like, I don't know if I really hated anything. And now I've come up with a bunch. So, this guy came into the shop and asked, did somebody do sewing? And I used to take it on when I was younger and didn't have, a bunch of stuff to do and stuff. And I wasn't running the store.
It was your sort of play income.
Yeah, it was like extra
when you were
money.
in college and stuff.
Yes. And
or high school.
Would have players sign the numbers on jerseys.
Oh, yes. Oh,
and then he'd buy the jersey. And then he would give me the jersey and the number, and I have to sew them on.
When she says players, she means
football players.
Celebrity players.
Yes. So real famous,
Something he could sell on the internet because of the signature.
Or I think he had clients who were like, get me this or whatever. So at first he brought in 3 or 4 jerseys, okay? These jerseys actually were pretty easy to do, okay? And I'll tell you all how I did them, just in case you ever have to do something like this. I'd lay the jersey flat on the table, and I would measure down however far he told me. He had told me what to do. The letters, they're all they're very squared off.
Right.
Not letters, numbers. I don't even know what goes in the back of a football jersey.
They were pre-die cut.
Yeah, pre-die cut. They didn't fray. They were twill with a backing or something. And he told me I need them to be 3 inches down and centered so I could put both on there. And then I took cellophane tape and I would just tape around the edge of the twill, onto the jersey. And then they're so big. Football jerseys are very large.
Yeah, it's like sewing on a sheet.
Yeah. That I could then go over to the sewing machine and I would just use kind of a long, wide zigzag and go to town on these twill numbers.
So she's taking one needle over the edge of the number and then a bite back into the number.
That's right. So you could barely see it. And actually, they looked really nice after I was done. I used embroidery thread, this kind of shiny white embroidery thread. And I would just take the cellophane tape off as I went.
Right.
I didn't stitch through it because the stitch is so long and wide, it wouldn't have perforated nicely. And so they really didn't take very long. But then he brought in this box that 2 of me could have fit in, okay? And actually, there were not 2 numbers per jersey. One number was already on there, and I didn't know why. But if somebody was number 81, he maybe already had like the 1 on there or the 8. And then I just had to put the other signed number.
Weird. I don't remember those.
No idea why it happened that way. And then he comes in, he's like, and I'm moving to Texas, and I was like, okay, and
Good
so,
luck.
yeah. And so he was like, and if you can't get them done before I move, you can ship them. And it was just this big, huge, like, mental burden to think about these like 40 jerseys that I had to do. And it just became so monotonous. But that was easy sewing. That was not hard sewing. Okay, then this guy gets recommended to us by a former employee. He's like, you can do this. You do this stuff. I loved it when people would come in and tell me that I did things. He'd be like, I'm here because you do this. I'm like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. He said, it's just patches that need to be sewn on these jackets. Okay. Well, it was for a police department. And I'm not going to say which police department. The jackets were super heavy-duty jackets, like insulated. These were winter police uniform jackets. Patches had to be sewn on the top of like the sleeve cap of the sleeve. Not an easy place to get to, even on a large jacket. Tons of layers, and the patches would not stick on with cellophane tape. They would not stick on with Wonder Tape or anything, and I couldn't like seam them, because I guess because of like waterproofing on the outside of the jacket.
Well, a lot of times that's
like
nylon fabric that just melts with any heat at all.
Yeah, so and no tape would stick to it, right? So I had to straight pin these patches
so that the straight kids would stab you when you were sewing.
Oh my gosh, every time, so I could get into them. But when I get stuck with a straight pin, it doesn't even like hurt. It just makes me boiling angry. Like I am just so pissed off when I get stuck by a straight pin, because I know how to not get stuck by straight pins. I don't use pins very often, and it's more like I am just extremely annoyed by the prick of a straight pin versus it, because they don't hurt a ton generally, but I'm just like, I just cuss. I'm angry.
Yeah, but you can shoot your hands up if you get stuck enough.
Yeah, right. And I'm just like, what the heck? And I would get poked on every one of them because the patches were like, not much bigger than the back of my hand. So they were very small. It's not like I could, no matter which way I pointed the pin, and it was a circle, I had to sew in a circle, and I tried to take the pin out as soon as I could. And then, oh God, it just ticked me off so badly. And I think that there were 36 or like 47 of the jackets that I had to do. And this guy just kept telling me like how easy it was going to be. Okay.
I don't know why he didn't buy a machine and do them himself.
Why don't you do them? He's like, and then all of a sudden, when I go to invoice him, I can't just write him a handwritten ticket like I would do for my sewing. I would just be like, okay, with 47 jackets and I know I didn't charge enough. I think I charged like $4 a patch, and it should have been like 12 for the time it took, the prep and the turning inside out of the jacket and the storage of the jackets.
Right, keeping them around
in our store, they took up tables.
Everything about it was,
it was awful.
Involved.
Okay, then he told me I had to get like, because of the nature of their organization, I had to get like accredited by this other organization. Our business did. And then we could be paid. And I thought, this is a freaking racket. So anyway, that's part of what makes it annoying for the other, like you said, there are things about sewing for other people that make you mad versus when you sew for yourself. And he didn't tell me about this beforehand. Like I could have started this process before I got myself stuck with the first straight pin of, however many, 100, straight pins that I got stuck with or whatever. So anyway, that is the job. Those are the jobs that I remember just being angry about. And, I know we've got listeners who don't mind this stuff. Like for whatever reason, they're like, oh yeah, I'll sew patches on a jacket or whatever. Okay. But yeah, they make me so mad.
Okay. So what we have done here, what is common between, I think,
the stories,
projects we do not like is, first of all, we've learned we do learn a lesson, and I think especially with your two stories, or things that I've done for other people too, is the first thing to do is ask or interview the project.
Yeah.
How many? What are they? When do they have to be done? And how will I be paid?
And
Or I will require half of my payment up front.
that's a good point.
And the other thing that I started doing, because I sewed for a long time for people, is I made sure that I charged enough that if I got pissed off
Yeah.
during the project, right, that I go, well, I'm going to get $10 million for this.
Yes,
it's not
and then
that bad.
I won't be mad.
Won't get too bad about. I'm not going to get too bad about my time because I can buy my own island later.
Yes, right.
But it's very important, and I think this easy thing. I don't know how people come up with that. A man brought in a lady's dress one time that I had to replace a zipper.
Uh-huh.
And I told him the zipper was $3.
Yeah.
And it really, this was an easy fix. It was not difficult at all.
Right.
Except I did have to take the zipper out.
Well, it wasn't easy. It was easy for you because you had the skill.
Right. I had the skill. I developed these skills over like 30 years.
A long time, yeah.
Right. And I told him it would be $12 for me to put the zipper in.
Uh-huh.
And he says, that's not worth it. And I said, then I would buy a new dress.
Yeah.
And he stood there and started like bitching at me and throwing insults and all this. And I said, well, now you need to leave because why would I sew for someone like you anyway? I mean, I was very insulted.
Yeah.
First of all, why didn't he put the zipper in if it was so, it was going to cost him $18. I don't know how much. Maybe the dress cost him $4. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But, often we would have that too, where someone might bring in, say, a jacket.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't understand what it involved to take a zipper out of a jacket and put especially if it was something like vinyl or leather.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have to basically you need to sew right back in the same hole that was made with the first, and they would say, and you would say, well, this will be $20, $30. I mean, I don't know. I'm just coming up with an arbitrary number for a zipper, and I think, well, I don't know what they pay with the jacket. I don't know what it means to them. I don't care.
Right.
This is what it costs.
No, I think that this is just really...
And you really want to make sure that timeline, you got to ask about that.
I learned a lot,
yes.
For sure when I was, doing things like that. And I think that though, when people don't listen, that's kind of the problem. But I think we should maybe take a message break and go to things we sewed for other people that we
to make
love.
us happy?
Yes. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Mallory here in your message break. And I just want to make an announcement or a disclaimer or whatever we're supposed to call it that we are going to start using affiliate links as a way to get support for the podcast and for our website and everything like that. Mom, do you know what an affiliate link is?
Okay, she's affiliating me with something and I have no idea what this is about.
Yeah, I totally used,
Thanks.
our tax ID number to,
Yeah.
So what an affiliate link is.
I'm going to wind up in jail and not know what I'm being charged with. Is that right?
Probably.
Okay.
No, because we're disclaiming it right now.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Affiliate links.
I'll just need a lawyer. I won't go to jail.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And we'll make money from the affiliate links to pay for the lawyer.
So Zede's going to need to keep her butt out of jail.
No, we're doing it all right. Okay, so here's the deal. Affiliate links are links that we post that maybe to Amazon or to other products on other platforms. And when you click through and you buy things on Amazon or you subscribe to something, that we're an affiliate for, we get a kickback. Okay.
Oh, we make money?
Yeah, we make a little bit of money. And what's really cool about the Amazon thing is, we make the kickback on everything you buy. So
if they buy a refrigerator, I can make money on it.
That is correct.
Hey, everybody, buy a refrigerator.
No, we're not. Okay, so that's something we're not supposed to do, right?
Oh, we're not supposed to. So now I am going to wind up in jail.
So the terms of service, though, I just want to let you all know, is that we have to disclaim, hey, we're an affiliate for this or this. When we share this tracing paper from Amazon that has free shipping, this is an affiliate link. You need to know that I am not just innocently recommending this, and we will get a kickback on that. So you're going to see some of those in the group. It's never going to be crap that we don't
I was going to say,
like.
even though we could endorse crap,
We won't.
we're not going. We're actually going to maintain our ethics.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to find you things at places that ship fast. We're going to recommend products that we really enjoy using. If you've ever ordered something from us, you may have noticed that Mallory's not the most organized shipper and packer. So we are going to play to our strengths and really focus on creating the podcasts, the videos, the online classes, and allow other businesses that are really good at shipping things to ship things to you. So just be aware that we will be using those affiliate links. There are lots of ways to let you know. I can just say this is an affiliate link, or sometimes people use hashtags, and I've been getting really creative and using, and it's been a lot of fun already in the group. So just heads up, we're going to be doing that. And if you click on an affiliate link, know that if you purchase something, you'll be supporting SewHere.com, and we so appreciate it.
Good idea, Mal.
Sewing out loud. And we're back. Okay, what's your thing you loved?
Well, I actually have two things now that I thought about, but I'll start with one, and you can tell me if I have time for the other one.
Okay.
So
This is a nice, long, juicy episode. So for
it-
those of
is
you
this
who like long
juicy?
episodes,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Well, yeah, I mistakenly read some of our reviews.
Yeah.
The other day, I can't remember how that happened. 98% of our reviews are really very positive, and they feel good, right? It's like reading your
yearbook?
Your yearbook about how great you are, to someone that you barely remember. But there's these ones who are like, they need to stop doing this. They're terrible, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, you took the time to write this. I must be worth something. But anyway.
I'm not at this time emotionally stable enough to read
the bad reviews.
the iTunes reviews. There
are really not that many bad ones, but boy, they can cut.
I just got back from therapy dealing with some other stuff, and I just can't put that on my plate right now. So, yeah, it's just...
Some of them are funny.
I know.
Like what they say, because you're like, okay.
It's kind of hard
what do you do in your spare time besides insult other people?
Well, it's hard as a business owner like us. I mean, we really need to make people happy. That's our job.
Well, right. Well, I mean, I'm not doing this to upset people or to make them think I'm an asshole.
But I'm trying to make people happy. And then part of me is like, I just should go ahead and create what I create, and I shouldn't care.
Right.
But then another part of me is like, I should listen. And then I'm like, but that person was really mean to me.
Aren't you amazed though by just this bantering that we have, that we can make someone so unhappy that they'll take the time to write that bad review?
I'm really sorry if we made you really unhappy. They turned it off before now, hopefully. Okay, what'd you love, Mom?
Okay.
What'd you love?
Well, Lindsay had a fairly substantial role in Music Man at the just at the high school.
What's her name?
She was the mayor's wife.
But it's like her name was like McKechnie Shin.
Yeah,
like she has
something.
a
It's really, really bizarre. And she had to say Balzac.
Balzac.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so actually, you were in that play.
I was in that too.
Mallory was. There was enough of an age difference that they needed a child to play Amaryllis, so Mallory was Amaryllis. Actually, that dress I made for you was pretty cool too.
You did cool costumes for that show.
I did. I don't know. I must have been like on a good, good
you were
roll
on fire.
right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had this striped fabric, which I love, black and white striped. And it was like what I call Halloween fabric. I think it came off the Halloween display.
Yes.
And it was a satiny.
It's like a poly satin.
I'm sure it's not even satin. I don't even know what it is. Some sort of acetate that would play.
Shiny poly.
Yeah, I would not smoke around it. I'd probably go up in it.
Yeah.
Yes, as a torch. But anyway, black and white stripe.
Yes.
And, I needed, it was for the chick,
pick a little, talk a little.
Pick a little, talk a little. Right. And so I also wanted her to look, different in that scene. So everybody was in all these colors. And I made her black and white.
Yes.
In fact, it got used, this specific costume has gotten used again for My Fair Lady in the race scene and things. So, but actually, it's in a picture in our home that was actually hung in the mall bathroom. Remember?
Yes,
all that?
I do.
So anyway, this costume has a big life. But what I did is I just threw this fabric like on the table and got the dress form. And I just sort of started pinning and fooling around with it and going, well, a mutton sleeve, and what about some sort of flare at the bottom and black and stripe, and it came out that I just love it.
Yeah, you did.
And I put the sleeves were on the bias.
You did some cool stuff.
I used the stripe as a pleating effect. So the stripe goes, down sort of a panel in the front of the dress. And then at the bottom, I pleated those stripes in so that it looks black until you walk, and then you get this black and white.
This was like the year, I think, that you bought that pattern that was based on Titanic's costumes.
Maybe I know that. Wait. Maybe I did buy that for that, because that might have been Jennifer's costume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I gotta find a picture of that. I gotta find a picture of that pattern envelope, because I remember when Titanic came out and Kate Winslet was so pretty and Leonardo DiCaprio was so cute and and I'm like, oh look, those are Titanic costumes.
Right.
This is the right time period. I don't know if you used that pattern, but I just remember that being around at that time.
Who was the librarian in that? Was it Jennifer?
Jennifer, yeah.
I think I might have used that pattern for her.
Yes.
But so this, now you have to understand, I knew Lindsay's body very well.
Right.
Had sewn for her a lot and everything. And she put this on and it fit her to perfection. It was just like, it just all came together.
Yes.
And like I said, I don't know how many times this dress has been worn now, but a lot. Because it's a great costume, even though it's made out of Halloween fabric.
Okay, it's extant. It still exists,
yes.
right? It's over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And
so, it could be worn next week by the right person.
So that year, Lindsay graduated from high school. And when you guys graduated, we took the other two sisters with you, and we got a group photograph at the same time. And the studio photograph, and, what are you going to wear? And somebody made a comment like, we could all dress up in show choir costumes. And I go, oh, Mallory's got the costume from
Amaryllis.
Amaryllis, from The Music Man. And Lindsay's got the black and white costume with the big hat. I had like feathers all over this hat. It was amazing, and Hillary would fit in some of Lindsay's costumes.
Yes.
So, Hillary wore one of the other costumes that Lindsay wore, and they... Actually, weren't you reading
Okay, we're sitting on a bench, and I remember...
in a little kiosk or something, like a little...
it's outside.
Yeah, it's outside.
There is like a trellis.
At the studio, yeah.
There is a trellis, and then the photographer... So, Hillary's standing, Lindsay's sitting, I'm sitting, I think.
Lindsay's behind you, and Hillary's sitting with you, I think.
Hillary's sitting with me.
How could we not know?
We'll go take a picture of that big photograph.
Right.
And so we're all sitting there, and I remember her coming over and being like, oh, hold this like you're eating it. And it's a copy of Little Women.
It wasn't it like it was a
really old copy.
Yeah, it was some sort of like historical copy. Yeah, something
and this woman did reenactments.
Yeah, she did reenactments herself. I made her quite a dress. We have a picture of that. Where she played Susan B. Anthony. Right,
yeah,
she had it.
So that striped dress, though, you used a lot of bias.
Yeah,
fabric.
There's a lot of skills like I put into that dress. It's a good like sample dress or example dress.
Yeah.
So anyway, that photograph was taken, and of course I bought like some moderate size ones or whatever. But they were asked to, I guess, decorate the mall.
Oh, I think they bought.
In the family area or whatever.
I think they bought the space.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
I think they were advertising.
So they took this photograph and blew it up to 16 by 24? How big is that?
Oh, no, it's got to be bigger than that.
Is that bigger than that? Like 24 by 30 or something?
Yeah, 24 by 36 or something. It's huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's humongous.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was hanging in what is called the mall family bathroom.
Yes.
Okay. Which eventually Lindsay became a security guard at the mall.
Yes.
So she's in there in this striped dress and feathered hat. And Hillary was a teacher in the school system here. And Mallory's just still a person, like going to school or whatever. But
not in the public.
Lindsay would actually get people who approached her and said, hey.
Are you in the bathroom?
Or is that you on the bathroom wall? And I think Hillary had a few students that said, Miss Myers, you're in the bathroom wall at the mall.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened is the mall redecorated or whatever and took it down, and I got a call, from her, and she said, I have this picture.
Right.
Do you want it? And I said, I'll be there.
Yes.
And I, Marcia just gladly just gave it to me, and I went and I got it, and I went directly to the framing place and said, frame this up good.
Right.
I'll never have a photograph. It's like next to life size or half life size.
It's really big.
Right. So anyway, it is hanging in our living room, and the girls are there in infamy, whether they want to be or not.
I think it's really cool.
No, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so my thing that I love doing, and this is kind of funny because this includes some of your things, and this isn't one thing that I sewed. So when I was a senior in high school, we did 2 musicals a year. And the first one was audition for like the whole school. And the second one was only like the musical theater class. Like only those kids could be in it, right? And so I was a pretty good performer in high school. If I do say so myself,
what we would call shy or yes.
Anyway, I mean, I was one of the outgoing.
You didn't know it was performing. You just did it.
I was outgoing, and I could sing really loud and memorize lines, and I was a good listener, right? So
Mallory just had her daughter tested to go into this program, and the tester said something about, "Ooh, maybe we have a little performer here, huh? Anybody in the family
anyone
perform?
in the family dramatic?" And I was like,
No, who would that be?"
So, I think I was always getting like featured dancer parts and all these, things. And actually in the fall that year, I was in the musical Lucky Stiff, and I got to play 2 parts that were like my dreams. And one was a French showgirl, and the other one was like a very loud Italian woman, a very loud, fashionable Italian woman.
Yeah.
And I got to play those 2 roles in the play, like it was double cast. Anyway, so that was like super duper fun in the fall of my senior year. Okay. And then in the spring, we were doing Will Rogers Follies, okay? And I was a senior, and seniors would get, preference or seniority. It was their last year there. So, like, if there was a senior of talent and a sophomore of equal talent, most of the time the senior would get, the role. But I was doing an independent study to get my practical art credit, and I was costuming things, and I had to find things to costume, and working with a teacher. And so I was like, I want to costume Will Rogers Follies. And I went to my choir teacher, and I was like, is it okay if I just costume the show and I'm not in it, okay? And I think this really surprised him because on top of being, talented for being in like a Midwestern, high school program, I mean, probably pretty, vain and arrogant in high school. And he was like, well, you might get like a, bigger part in this show if you were to try out. And I was like, yeah, but I think I want to do the costumes. So I had a big sense of FOMO which means fear of missing out, about performing. And I like to be out there, and I like to get like recognition for like singing nicely, I really did. But the costuming was getting like really interesting to me. And he was like, yeah, you can do that. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with you opting out of the performance, and you can costume it. So I costumed the show with a ton of help from like my mom and using your old costumes.
Right. We recycled like
you had costumed Crazy for You.
Yeah, especially the chorus line things. Yeah.
So Crazy for You had been like 10 years prior.
No, well,
right?
What was Lindsay?
Well, 7 years or
only 7.
Whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
only 7.
And there were still
but
costumes.
Those leotards lasted, didn't they?
That's right. There were still costumes in the costume shop from that show.
And we had some red, white, and blue stuff from something.
And if anybody knows,
show choir.
If anybody knows Crazy for You and Will Rogers Follies, it's like they're the same show. It's like Follies come to the West.
One is
right?
One is sort of. Primary colors and the other one's red, white, and blue. That's the difference.
Well, right. And actually, the show choir had done some
of the songs.
They
had done the
Favorite Son
song.
So
we had costumes from show choir for the Favorite Son.
Yeah, so I got to, it wasn't just sewing, it was a lot of coordinating and finding sizes and, doing all that.
Well, that's what costuming is.
Sure.
Yes.
So that part, and I did the, I did the costumes, and I got to do the jewels. And I got to costume some of my friends. So they did there's this jewel song where there's like a diamond and an emerald and a ruby. And these girls got to dress up, and I got to costume them to be the jewel, And it just, like, these things ended up looking so nice on stage. And the favorite son, you dyed the gloves for me last minute because...
that we had to actually get someone in St. Louis to ship us some because there weren't enough in Columbia. Because the director said he didn't want those until the last minute.
Right, Because
we had suggested it earlier when we had time to do it.
And it's what they did, like, in the revival. It's what they did in the original. They had, there's one red glove and one blue glove.
Right.
And then they do all this hand choreography.
Right.
So it looks very striking on stage. And I don't know how many kids were in the show, like 30. So everybody's doing this.
There's a lot of gloves.
Yeah, a lot of gloves, and really striking when it was done. And I'm not a big, like, some people like red, white, and blue. And we're not big.
Yeah, I don't know why. We are not red, white, and blue people.
I'm not like, I'm going to decorate
and
for the 4th of July.
I see it on
something.
other people wearing it too, and I like
fine.
it. And then I like put it on me, and I'm like, no.
But this whole show, this whole scene in the show, The Favorite Son, was red, white, and blue, of course. And it looked so cool. And I felt this sense of satisfaction that was, like, so big. And I thought, oh, like, I can get this sense of satisfaction not performing in front of people too. Like, from, doing different types of work, And that was kind of like a thing that I realized
Do you
in
remember
my brain.
coming to me and saying that?
Yeah,
you said, Mom,
no,
now I know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I also, it's kind of the feeling when, like, I realized that I really, liked my husband enough to marry him. Right? Like, just like the FOMO going away, right? I was like, no.
I'm not going to miss out on any other men. I can have him. I can stick with him.
Else. He's awesome,
I can stick with him.
I don't have to go up and sing in front of people. I can costume other people and, like, let them shine. And of course the choreographer and the director and the set designer, they all of these things. And you and
that's a lot of, and I think a lot of times people don't appreciate what is behind the performer.
Yeah, right.
And
I think that's what I wasn't doing when I was younger,
and that's
too.
why I think performers should have to do other things in theater to go, oh my God. I remember
stage manager.
Yeah, I remember it was in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, that I was supposed to make these 3 skirts for the cowboy scene, and all of a sudden there was not enough fabric for a ruffle on one, and it was this striped silk that we couldn't get any more of, and one was a solid, one was a silk, and we, like, alternated them, and I had to piece this striped fabric, and I pieced it for like
hours.
Yeah, it was a half a day to get this ruffle, to come out. And I remember the director coming up, and he goes, well, we just wrapped the first rehearsal, and the show is 45 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, the ruffle was 4.5 hours just a piece. And so, I mean, and I think everybody should appreciate this. And when you see the kids on the stage in the recitals, or when you see somebody at a piano recital, the song lasts 2.5 minutes. The dance lasts, 2 minutes, whatever. They have put hours into that. And someone else has put hours into that with them. And, whether it was the choreographer or the costumer or whatever, and you're seeing it in 2 minutes, and it's over.
I think that I was like really surprised, though, that I'm talking about being like I was in high school, and I was like age 15 to 17.
Right.
Pretty young, like you don't always have like a ton of, what do I want to say, appreciation and grace at that age and stuff, And so I was a big learning experience on many levels for me.
Which that man that asked me to do the zipper should have understood. He just looked at the zipper and goes, oh, it's just a plain old zipper in there. He did not know the skill, the time I took to develop that skill, how I knew to put it in so that it would look right and he wouldn't get a bad job. And, how much time would I have for my $12?
Right.
Was I, think about what I was giving him for $12.
Yeah,
well, he
hours.
didn't.
Hours and hours
Yeah.
of experience. Well, and that's why, I mean,
I like how he wanted to tell me off because I didn't want to do it for less. That was even better.
and this is why I think that extracurricular activities are so important.
They are.
Anything, whatever, I can't do things with a ball. Okay. I can't play soccer. I can't play volleyball. I don't have any depth perception. It was never my strong suit. So I did, the dance and the drama and da-da-da. And that's the reason why.
Well, you were athletic in other ways with your acro and things.
But we can't, those activities.
Everybody has their own forte.
Yeah, they teach they teach all those skills to kids. So if you think, oh my gosh, we're going to this dance class and what are they even learning?
And what have I always said about dance? Going to ballet. How many people are going to be a prima ballerina?
Right.
Not that many. But what else have you learned there?
Right.
You've learned to appreciate the other people in the class. You have to learn to appreciate what the teacher's telling you. You have to appreciate waiting.
Well,
you have to appreciate tenacity that I couldn't do this pirouette and now I can.
And not everybody's going to go on to be a professional
football
player or soccer player.
No,
but I think
but there are values in doing all those things.
Yes. So anyway, that was a little bit more, not just the sewing part was, eye-opening to me, but realizing that I could do other things and that, other people were putting a ton of effort and it was really satisfying.
Yes.
So obviously I didn't get over my fear of missing out and performing, and I felt like I needed to have my own 2 podcasts and, so I worked it in. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. You can email me at mallory@sewhere.com, and I will email you back as soon as possible. And you can find us on Instagram. We are at Zede Sewing Studio. And you can join the Self-Sewn Wardrobe group and all that stuff. So take it away, Mom.
So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.